Live race here from Aintree. One is Always Waning, Tom O'Brien. 2, Moon Over and Miami, Noel Feely. 3 is Magic Sky, Jake Greenall claiming the 7. 4 is Dashing George, Jamie Moore. 5, Frankie Figg is Brian Hughes. 6, Victoria's Groom, Jason Maguire. 7 is Private B, Richard Johnson. 8, Battlefront, Katie Walsh. Number 9 is Nikola, Paddy Brennan. 10 is Storm and Exit, James Reevely. 11, Double Dizzy, Andrew Glastonbury. 12 is President Correct, Sam Twiston Davis. 13, A Maintenant is Campbell Gillies. 14 is Commemoration Day, Joshua Moore putting up 3 over, rides 10-2 on this. 15 is Craiglands, Barry Canary, and 16, Lampion de Bost is the mount of Richie McClernand.
The last 3 years, one of his runners today, Lampion de Boss, actually won it back in 2007, and Craiglands, his other runner, was placed in the race as well. So Jim Goldie will be hoping for a lot. I think Storm and Exit, though, is the pick of his 3.
Now, there's a horse who's had a fair amount of experience over these fences, Frankie Figg. Unfortunately, he hasn't managed to get round the last 3 times that he's attempted it, Mick, but that doesn't really do him justice, does it?
No, it doesn't. He was travelling really well when tipping up at Beechers with Dennis O'Regan in the place, and of course last time with Wilson Rennick on board, he tipped up 2 out when just got headed, but he jumped beautifully till then, and he'll have a good ride off in this afternoon, Brian Hughes, whatever happens.
I'll tell you just an interesting note to this race. There are 3 father-daughter or father-son teams. Katie Walsh riding Battlefront for her father, Ted. Sam Twiston Davis riding Present and Correct for his father, Nigel. And Joshua Moore riding Commemoration Day for his father, Gary. I know you've had a quick chat with Ted Walsh. What did he reckon about his runner?
Well, he said that he'll either take to it or he won't. We'll know early. It's Katie Walsh's idea to run him in the race. He'll handle the ground. They're very hopeful.
Take another quick look at the market, Rishi, before we hand to Jim.
Yeah, Private B and Storm and Exit 13-2 joint favourites. Craiglands 8. There was a bit of money for Lampion de Bost. A couple of the bookmakers, Paddy Power and William Hill, both reported support for the 2007 winner of this race.
Jim McGrath, they look as if they're just about set to go.
Yeah, coming in here, Claire, and wanting to get a good start here. 18 fences to be jumped, the big national fences. Frankie Figg, his 4th attempt at these big fences. Far more testing, of course, than on a normal course. And we might just see a few realistic contenders for the National here today. That's it, they're coming in. And no, the starter is not happy, and he's decided they're set. And they're racing, off and running in the Grand Sefton Handicap Chase, sponsored by Totepool, and out in the centre, Always Waning, one of the first over from Double Dizzy. All got over the first okay. Back on the outside is Victoria's Groom, but Frankie Figg takes it up in the early stages and goes on as they come towards the second. Leads over it from Always Waning. Just behind them, Dashing George, and they're followed then on the inside by President Correct. Further back then is Victoria's Groom, who's made a mistake there and is absolute last as they come up towards the chair, the most fearsome fence on the course, the national course, and they're all over safely, I'm pleased to say. So heading up to the water, Frankie Figg out in front by a couple of lengths. It's Always Waning, and just behind them in third is President Correct from Dashing George, and then out deep on the track is Double Dizzy. A Maintenant is next, followed then in the centre by Storm and Exit. Then next in the field is Lampion de Boss, followed then by, in the centre, Commemoration Day. Nikola is on the inside. Private B is giving them a long start as they race past the judge with just under a circuit to go. Craiglands is well back in the field at this stage with Magic Sky and Moon Over Miami. They're followed then by Battlefront, and Victoria's Groom is some way detached from them as they go over the Melling Road on the first occasion. And as they come now towards the 5th, it's Frankie Figg who's out in front. Frankie Figg leading to it, Always Waning deep off the track. So too is Double Dizzy. Just behind them, Dashing George as they go over the 5th there. They're followed then back in the field then on the inside by President and Correct. Battlefront has gone. Katie Walsh, she's up on her feet okay and walks away. Very disappointed at the 6th. And over that, the faller there is President Correct. President Correct has gone there. Frankie Figg still out in front, though, from Always Waning, and deep off the track there is Double Dizzy as they come now to the open ditch. Dashing George jumps it just behind the leaders. They're followed next then by, on the inside, A Maintenant. For the back is Private B, who's now, as they come to the 8th, just tracking his way through the field. Private B got right into that. Lompion de Bost was a bad mistake, and Victoria's groom has been pulled up. Coming now towards the next, the 9th, and it's Frankie Figg on the inside, the leader over it from Storm and Exit, who goes up into a clear second and going well. Always Waning is third, followed by Dashing George. A gap in the field then to Double Dizzy. As they come now towards Beaches, which is number 10. Further back is Nikola, who's not that far away. Frankie Figg leads to Beaches, and the mistake there, Storm and Exit. Storm and Exit slipped going into it and has paid the penalty there, has come to grief very heavily. It's Frankie Figg, though, as they go to the Foynehaven fence. There's about 3 in front here. On the inside, Dashing George. The outer is Always Waning. They're clear then of Maintenant, who's back in the field with Nikola just preceding that one. Double Dizzy, Private B are further back from Magic Sky as they come to the canal turn, number 12. Frankie Figg leads over it, foot perfect at that. Jumping in second is Always Waning. Then in third is Dashing George, all over safely, followed by Nikola and then Magic Sky. And back in the fair field then as they go to Valentine's is Double Dizzy. And Maintenant is further back. Private B struggle over that one. Lompion de Boss is well back. So too is Commemoration Day as they come to the 14th. Frankie Figg out in front here. Leads over it clearly and jumped it well too. Mistake by Always Waning. They're followed next by Nikola, who's creeping into a Dashing George is there as well. So they come to the last ditch, 4 out. Further back in the field then in the centre, Magic Sky, and Frankie Figg jumped it well. Lompion de Bost is behind them. Private B is trying to get back into it. A Maintenant is further back, and Double Dizzy has run his race. Coming towards 3 out now, Frankie Figg comes towards it, measures it well, lands over at 6 in front now, and going further ahead, mistake by Moon Over Miami, back in the field towards the rear, but as they go over the Melling Road now with 2 left to jump in the Grand Sefton Handicap chase. Frankie Figg at the 4th attempt over the Grand National fences. Can he make it a win today? He's 6 in front here of Dashing George and Nikola going well. They're followed by Magic Sky, and further back then is Always Waning, followed further back by Lompion de Bost and Private B trying to get a place here. A Maintenant behind them and a long gap. The others 11 still in the race here as they race up now a long run before they come to the second last. Frankie Figg out in front here for Brian Hughes. On the inside, Dashing George giving chase with Nikola. At the second last, Frankie Figg was foot perfect at it. He lands over it. He gets a slap with a whip there. He's 5 in front. Dashing George and Nikola running on with 1 left to jump in the Grand Sefton. And it's Frankie Figg on the inside. He comes towards it. He's getting tired. He brushed through the top of it. 4 lengths in front of Nikola and Dashing George, and behind them is Magic Sky, Private B, Maintenant, and Always Waning. They're on the run now towards the elbow. Frankie Figg, he's been out in front for a long way. He's 6 lengths in front here of Nikola. Further back in the field then is Dashing George, Magic Sky, Private B, but on the run in for home, a half furlong left to go. It's Frankie Figg in the colours of Andrea and Graham Wiley, trained by Howard Johnson and ridden by Brian Hughes. At the 4th attempt over the national fences, he does it. He wins the Grand Sefton from Nikola in second. In third then is Private B, and 4th is Magic Sky, followed by a Maintenant, then Always Waning. Behind them is Dashing George, a gap to Lompion de Bost. They're followed by Moon Over Miami and Commemoration Day. And 11th and last is Double Dizzy. So 11 of the 16.